Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. It is pre-match build-up showtime for the biggest game in the club football calendar. It is the Champions League final and Liverpool have the privilege of playing in this absolutely massive match against Real Madrid, playing for that incredible prize. And I mean, the words fail me when trying to sum up this game, to be honest. It's really hard to do a pre-match video because I think it's hard to really put into words and properly express what this game means. But I think the best way to explain how much the Champions League final matters and how much it matters going forward decades ahead in time is the history of it, the legacy that can be created here. The best sides in the world in terms of club football are not remembered by league titles or domestic cups, league cups or anything like that. They are remembered by whether or not they win the European Cup. The best Liverpool sides and the greatest moments this club has ever had have been in the European Cup. Istanbul, that wasn't an amazing side, but it will go down in history because of what they managed. The sides of the late 70s and the early 80s, they are remembered by those achievements. And now this fantastic team that Jurgen Klopp has put together, this fantastic team that has so far left all comers in their wake so far in this European campaign, has the opportunity to join those absolute greats and go down in Liverpool history forever, really. I think that's what's got to be said to the players beforehand. That's what's got to motivate them. That's what's got to motivate everyone pushing forward and helping Liverpool win this game, is that you will never, ever be forgotten by the fans, be forgotten by anyone really to do with football, because this would be an absolutely incredible achievement, especially when you consider what's standing in our way. Real Madrid are quite possibly the most difficult opponent we could possibly face, because as we all know, Liverpool are, they're so good that they can beat anyone on their day. They can potentially play like the best team in Europe. And I'll come on to more about Real Madrid later, but it's worth mentioning that out of all the teams in Europe, they're the ones that might actually be able to beat that. They're the kind of team that you look at and say, well, yeah, but in finals, no matter how bad they are and how brilliant their opponent is, we've already seen it over the last couple of finals that they've played in, they can still win. And that's incredibly frustrating as a Liverpool fan, but it does mean that winning this would mean so much more than it would winning it against anyone else, bar maybe Manchester United, because that would be absolutely fantastic as well. But up against Real Madrid, up against Cristiano Ronaldo, it couldn't be more difficult. But if anyone is going to do it, if anyone is going to beat them in the Champions League final, I think it's Liverpool, isn't it? So team news going into the game. Obviously, there isn't that much to talk about. Liverpool are basically down to the bare bones of their squad now. Everyone who was fit for the last game against Brighton, plus I think James Milner is going to be available for this game. Obviously, Milner sat out against Brighton, but I felt like that was only a precautionary thing, really, just to make sure he didn't pick up any extra knocks or get too fatigued in anticipation of him playing in this game. So yeah, the squad as it is absolutely fine. Obviously, we've still got a huge amount of injuries backing up there that have led to Liverpool being down to the absolute bare bones. We've got a couple more players coming back. Obviously, Adam Lallana is looking all right. He's been in training. He had those few minutes against Brighton, so he's definitely an option for Liverpool in this game. Somewhat more surprisingly, Emre Can is also back into contention somehow. His injury did very much look like it was going to keep him out for the entire season, including the final. However, he is back in full training, which is incredibly impressive, given that it wasn't long ago that we just weren't seeing him involved in Liverpool at all. But he's back in full training. He is a possibility for this final, but I think the same with Lallana. You don't really want to be risking him. And in terms of the actual starting 11, I think we are going to be going with the one that we have seen for the last few games in Europe. So it is Loris Karius in goal. Not a bad goalie. I think personally, when comparing him with the Real Madrid side, I think we're on a par with goalies. Two goalies who've got talent, who've got ability, who are capable of big moments, but you always feel like there's something holding them back from being one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And maybe this is that moment for Karius. Maybe this is the final. This is the game. This is the 90 minutes where we finally see what Loris Karius is really about. We finally see what Jurgen Klopp was putting all his faith in. And who knows, it could be him who is man of the match in this game. It could be anyone who's man of the match. It could be the centre-back pairing, Virgil van Dijk and Dejan Lovren. I think they're absolutely guaranteed to start. It could be the fullbacks, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson. They are also nailed on to start. I think there's absolutely no competition there. Moreno, obviously a decent backup at left back. Nathaniel Klein, a decent backup at right back. But those two have proved that they are the absolute men for the job for Liverpool in Europe this season. And I'm crossing my fingers that they can do it again in Kiev. Obviously, Alexander-Arnold has a huge job on his hand, potentially dealing with Cristiano Ronaldo. I'll come on again to Real Madrid later and talk a bit more about their formation, but that is the side that Ronaldo likes to come down. It's going to be a really difficult job for Dejan Lovren and Trent Alexander Alexander-Arnold, but if there's one thing that Trent Alexander-Arnold has shown this season, it's that when the pressure's on, when he really needs to deliver, he really delivers. You know, that is when Trent Alexander-Arnold is at his best. His best game this season was against Leroy Sané at Anfield when he was really, really targeted. So I think if Real Madrid want to target Trent Alexander-Arnold, if they want to say Ronaldo, just get him on the one-on-ones, then all the best to them, because I trust Trent Alexander-Arnold. It sounds mad, a 19-year-old kid who's only just started playing first-team football up against one of the best footballers in the world, but that's what the kid's capable of, and fingers crossed that he can do the business again in Kiev. And then the midfield, Henderson, Milner, Wijnaldum. No arguments there. That is absolutely what Liverpool have to be going with. It's been a really good midfield over the last few games. I think it's definitely benefited from the chemistry that's forged through having to play with each other week in, week out. They've had no choice but to go with that midfield at Liverpool, and I think it's actually helped because there's a real understanding and there's a real knowledge of the system and their roles within the system, and they execute it to absolute perfection. So I think that's actually a very underrated midfield for Liverpool. And then the front three, the thing that's been getting all the plaudits for Liverpool on this European run, and rightly so, because it's absolutely fantastic. It is what will potentially win Liverpool the game. It's Sadio Mane, it's Roberto Firmino, and it's Mohamed Salah. So Real Madrid then, there has been plenty of noise coming from the Spanish side's camp over the last few days. I mean, the media offensive has been completely off the charts, possibly more than we even expected from them. The amount of articles being put out in Spanish newspapers and interviews being conducted with ex-Madrid managers and players and stuff like that, all of them saying that Real Madrid, this will be a walk in the park for them. People are saying this is going to be the easiest final they've ever played in, and that they will absolutely walk the trophy by 4-1 or 4-0 or 5-1 or something bananas like that. And I think we can make a little bit too much of it, because at the end of the day, when I think about all this noise that's been made, none of it has actually come from inside the Real Madrid camp. You know, we don't hear Zinedine Zidane saying this in his press conferences. We haven't heard it from Ronaldo or Ramos or any of their players. The only noises we've actually heard from inside the camp have been about the fact that, yeah, they are confident, yeah, they feel like they've got the upper hand, but it is all about respecting your opponent at the end of the day. And that doesn't surprise me personally, because while the media will want to make a song and dance and want to create drama and want to cause a little bit of a hoo-ha amongst Liverpool fans, the players aren't stupid and the manager isn't stupid, and they will have watched Liverpool this season and they'll know how good Liverpool are, and they'll know what Liverpool are capable of doing as well. So I don't think they're frightened. I think they've said that themselves. They're not sort of afraid of Liverpool. They don't feel like they're the underdogs or anything like that. I think they feel that they are the favourites for this competition, but they know just how good Liverpool are, and I think that's reflected as well in the way that they're setting up their team. You know, you look at what Zidane did in the game against Villarreal. He said that wasn't a rehearsal for the Champions League final, but he did a bit of tinkering with his formation. I think the only reason you do that is to sort of test things out and see how it works ahead of the final. He did put Isco in and then have Ronaldo and Bale as like a front two. I can kind of see that happening because Benzema obviously hasn't impressed hugely this season. While he did get 2 goals against Bayern Munich in the semi-final second leg, overall his performances haven't been that great, and his goal return has been pretty poor for someone playing in that number 9 role for Real Madrid. So I can see that happening as well. I think tactically it's also about overloading the midfield for Real Madrid, because they've seen how Liverpool's midfield, with its energy and discipline that I mentioned before, is able to just overrun teams. We saw it against Roma, definitely, that when they've got the bit between their teeth, when they've got the wind in their sails, they can just run the game from that area based purely on the energy and the intelligence as well of knowing when to press, of knowing when to close players down, of knowing when to cause them problems. So I think by putting Isco in there as well, he can drop a little bit deep, and I think they're trying to create a kind of a 4-on-3 there, where you've got a midfield diamond versus Liverpool's midfield 3, and that's how I think Real Madrid will try and keep control over the game, because obviously Liverpool will just look to cause absolute chaos in that centre of the park. Organised chaos as well. Chaos they know they can benefit from, but they will be looking to play the game at an absolutely frenetic speed, and so I think Real Madrid will look to counteract that by having as many players in that area as possible to stop that from working in Liverpool's favour. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be incredibly difficult, but that's what the European Cup final is. You know, the last time Liverpool won it, they played against AC Milan, one of the best teams in the world, probably the best team in the world at the time, and they did give us a rough ride of it. You know, they went 3-0 up and they tore us apart in that first half, and once Liverpool got back into it, it was an absolute dog of a game to get through and not end up losing it anyway as well. So European Cup finals are tough, but that's why you make history by winning them. That's why you go down in the pantheon of footballing greats and of Liverpool greats by lifting this trophy, because it is the most difficult thing to do in club football. But I still believe that Liverpool can win it. I think we all believe that Liverpool can win it. It's going to be our most difficult game. It's our most difficult opponent of the European campaign. But if there's anything that this Liverpool side has shown, it is capable of rising to the occasion and winning when it needs to. So here are my 3 reasons why Liverpool will beat Real Madrid. So first of all, our front 3. It's absolutely excellent, and it is one of the reasons why anyone who thinks Liverpool will win this trophy, that's being touted as the main reason. That's what people are saying. They're pointing to that fantastic front 3, the chemistry between them, the quality of the individual players, the way that they execute Jurgen Klopp's plans to absolute perfection going forward, and simply the goal return as well. People are looking at that and saying that is how you win finals. That is what's going to get Liverpool over the line in this game. And when you look at how well they've played, it's hard to argue, because I think coming back to that thing about the midfield battle as well, and talking about, you know, how Real Madrid are going to try and flood that area of the park, I can see Firmino dropping deep and helping out as well, you know, putting pressure on Casemiro, putting pressure on those midfielders, winning the ball a little bit deeper, and then sending Mane and Salah on their way. And I think no matter how much you try and stop these players, you have to focus on all of them at once. If you try and target one player, like I've seen people talking about how even though Marcelo will bomb forward at times and leave the space open, Sergio Ramos has apparently in the past had very good games against Mo Salah when Mo Salah was playing for Roma. Obviously, it's a different Mo Salah, but if he's got this kind of way of beating him, which is apparently to just get very tight and stop him from moving, which I reckon, you know, is a decent idea, it could work. But if you're targeting Mo Salah with Sergio Ramos, then you're effectively leaving Rafael Varane isolated one-on-one against Roberto Firmino, and I think no manager in the world thinks that's a good idea. That's quite frankly a terrible idea, and it's just reflective of the fact that if you target one player, if you look at one player and say this is how you're going to stop him, then you immediately look at the other 2 and say, well, that's causing us other problems with those 2 because suddenly they're in more space, our players are isolated against them, and they're going to cause us problems that way as well. So you almost do have to wish that you're going to catch them on an off day. You know, whenever our front 3 has misfired this season, it's not really been because of how good the opponent is, it's just because we haven't been that good. Even the Manchester United performance when they came up against us at Old Trafford and did reasonably well, especially in silencing Mohamed Salah, that was because Salah didn't have a great day. If Salah had been at his absolute best, Liverpool would have probably either drawn or won that game. So I think Real Madrid have almost got to cross their fingers. And I think with how we've seen this front 3 perform this season, and like I said, how they've risen to the occasion on these massive nights, I can't see that happening. I think this front 3 is going to be absolutely fired up for this game, and they could win the game by themselves. And second of all, one of the big concerns for, I think, Liverpool fans, and one of the main reasons that Real Madrid fans are so confident for this game, is the Liverpool defence. And I think Real Madrid fans are more confident than Liverpool fans are concerned about that, because quite frankly, since Virgil van Dijk has come in, we've been absolutely fantastic defensively, and they will have to play the perfect game at the end of the day, because as much as you can play defensively very well for most of the 90 minutes, if you give Ronaldo one moment, if you give even Bale or Isco one moment, Kroos or Modric, if you just give them a yard too much space, or you switch off for one moment and they get in, they're going to cause you problems. That's what Real Madrid are all about. That's how they've got to this final, is not by being brilliant for the whole game. It's by just in those moments when they need a goal and when they get one little glimmer of hope, they've capitalised on it to maximum effect. So Liverpool's defence will have to play a perfect game, but with a player like Van Dijk marshalling them, and with the character of the players in that back line and the goalkeeping position as well, I think they just might, you know. We talked about Trent Alexander-Arnold having to have a perfect game against City at Anfield. He did. Dejan Lovren has been absolutely brilliant since Van Dijk came in. He's been getting better and better and better, and he looks like he's got the confidence as well. Virgil van Dijk, if there's any footballer on the planet who's capable of having a full 90 minutes where they don't put a foot wrong, it's him. And Andrew Robertson has got the energy to just go all night long for Liverpool. So the defence will have to be on it. They'll have to be brilliant. They won't be able to make a single error against this Madrid side, but I just get the feeling that they might not, you know. And even if they do, even if they make one error and concede one goal, I trust our attack, like I said, for the first reason, to get the better of their defence just more often. So I think Liverpool, provided they get some more goals at the other end, that defence can afford maybe one or two slip-up that's almost natural, that's almost inevitable over the course of 90 minutes, and Liverpool will still come out the other side as victors and Champions League winners. And finally, it feels cliche, it feels silly, you might think that I'm just being an idiot here, but sometimes you just want it more. And I know Real Madrid are after this incredible record of 3 finals in a row that hasn't been achieved by anyone since Bayern Munich in 1976. That will obviously fire them up. That'll make them desperate to win this game as well. but they've got 46 Champions League medals amongst all their players. That's a lot. And the players, I just feel like they'll have a lot of hunger. Like I said, they're chasing a record, but none of our players have a Champions League medal. And you look back to when Liverpool did win it against AC Milan, right? AC Milan obviously wanted that. They wanted to win the Champions League, but Liverpool just had a tiny bit extra, and that showed in the comeback. And you look at the way Jamie Carragher, one of those players who just puts his heart and soul on the line for Liverpool Football Club and always finds that extra 1 or 2% when he really needs it. He was playing with terrible cramp, but he played his best game, one of his best games for Liverpool, because he really, really wanted and almost needed that Champions League trophy. And I think when you look at the players Liverpool have got, you know, James Milner, Jordan Henderson, they're going to be desperate for it. Alexander-Arnold's going to be desperate for it. All of them are going to be desperate to win this trophy. And I think if there's just one thing that's going to separate the two teams, and it will be tight this game, no matter what people say, it's going to be incredibly tight. There's not much in it at all between these two teams. But if there's one thing that's going to set us apart from Real Madrid, it is just that 1 or 2% extra of being desperate to win the trophy. And I'm hoping for those kind of incredible moments that players like Dudek and Carragher were able to pull off in Istanbul to get Liverpool over the line. So that is all for today's video. Obviously, there is a little bit more content coming your way between now and the Champions League final. There will hopefully be a FIFA 18 prediction show tomorrow if I can get that out and edited in time. There might be a little bit more stuff on the Friday as well if I can fit it in, but if not, hopefully there will be a live stream for the post-match as well. I'm watching it at the Echo Arena. I mean, my advice to any Liverpool fan who wants to watch this game, just go to the city. Find whatever way you can to get into Liverpool City Centre and just find a bar or the Echo Arena is still selling tickets, I think. Find anywhere to watch it, because trust me, no matter what the result, you will have the best time of your life. And leave the result worrying down to the players for now. Until the full-time whistle is blown, you don't need to worry about what's actually going to happen on the pitch in Kiev. You just need to try your best to have an absolutely incredible time. So all the best to all of you. I'm hoping we all have an incredible time for the Champions League final. Like I said, I'll be at the Echo Arena on Saturday evening, so there'll probably be a post-match live show. I don't really know. We'll see what happens, but fingers crossed for that. I'm definitely going to try my best to get one of them out. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the FIFA 18 prediction show tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new around here. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few weeks. Follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.